So I continue to box.
What was the most intense fight of your career?
Well, I think everybody know the most intense fight of my career was with the Arturo Gatti fights. That was because we were both young. We both was established. Although Gatti was a marquee fighter, everybody used to call him blood and guts because he used to bleed so much. But he used to just knock people out after that. And we both was young. We were both on the incline of our career. He had a bigger name than I had, but I knew that was my prime fight right there. And I went out there, I did what I had to do. I won both fights.
Yeah, that's the. Well, was there beef between you guys, or it was just that like everyone else wanted to see the fight again? So.
Well, basically, the TV people wanted to see the fight again because it was a great fight. It was in Atlantic City, and Atlantic City was like my second home. So, and down there with all the casinos and stuff, I knew everybody down there. So that was a high power place right there. And then Gatti was just right over across the bridge. He was in Jersey City, so he was hot too. So they wanted to see the fight, so I couldn't really ignore it. And I wouldn't ignore it because it was so much money. So we made the fight again.
Was there any fight that you had? Was there any fight that you had? Would you think you got cheated in, and that cost you the loss?
No, I was pretty much in all great fights. I mean, if there was one, there was one in the amateurs, and that was Oscar. I lost to Oscar 3 times. I think only lost to him the second fight we had. The first fight we met, I thought I beat him. The second fight, I lost. And the third fight was just a no-brainer. Everybody thought I won. We had fought on, I think it was USA, and that was the first time amateur fighting was ever on. And even the commentators even said that I won a fight. So out my whole career, that's the only fight that I ever really looked at that I think that I got cheated out of. As far as the pros, no, I was in every great fight. A lot of fights I lost was just because maybe I didn't train. And then later in my years, I was just kind of getting a little too old. So, it happens like that sometimes.
When you won your first fight, how did it feel?
My first pro fight?
Yeah.
Oh man, it was magnificent. I won it down in Atlantic City, at the resort hotel. I had a lot of people from the city. I had a lot of people from a nice town neighborhood. I just had a lot of people that came out and supported me, and it was crazy because I didn't really think that I was gonna get that support like that. But Philly really stood out, and I went out there, and I think I took the kid out in like a minute, and I just knew right then and there it was gonna be bigger and better things for me.
What did you do a lot of your fights in Atlantic City?
Yeah, majority of my fights were in Atlantic City. I think they got me in the record book. I don't know. I think it was like 7. I think, like I said, Atlantic City was my second home. So I fought a lot of fights down there too. But then again, I fought a lot of fights here in Philly at the legendary Blue Horizons. So between Philly and Atlantic City was good. I had a couple fights in Vegas. I had one in Indio, California. I fought at the Staples Center where the Clippers and Lakers play. During my amateur career, I flew all over the world. I don't think it was really nowhere that I haven't been that I would like to go. So,
When is it a good time to stop boxing to avoid brain damage?
It's hard to say because you can get brain damage. You can get brain damage early in your career. I think it depends on the fighter, how the fighter is presented as far as the fight, how he fights, how much punishment he takes, and then sometimes it only takes one blow for you to get the injury of brain damage or your jaw broke or anything like that. Like just this weekend, Donald Stevenson just fought. I think he was a little too old to fight, but he was 41. But he was beating a lot of people, he was knocking a lot of people out. But he came in there and he fought a kid, I think it was like in his 20s. And, the kid just was better than him, hit him with some shots and knocked him out in the last round and sent him to the hospital. He was in critical condition, but now he doing pretty well.
Was there any opponent that you faced that you did not like personally?
You mean like I didn't like at all?
Yeah, you didn't like at all.
No, not no one that I can say. I haven't had nobody that really just I can't say that.
Can you remember the hardest punch you threw at someone, and they later on they actually complimented you on it? Like, yeah, that punch hurt.
It's hard to say. I mean, in my earlier years, I think I was probably one of the top 2 kids in Philadelphia that had the quickest hands. So I don't know. I hit kids with a variety of punches. I know a couple guys I hit early in my career. I knocked out and it was like, man, I didn't see it, or man, your hands are so quick, you know. But later, nah, I doubt it.
What's your favorite combination to throw?
It's hard to say. I throw so many. I mean, if you talk about how many punches I can throw at one time, I used to throw 8 to 10 punches in a combination at once. My best shot was my left hook.
What was the hardest punch that an opponent hit you with?
You know, it's crazy because I think the hardest that I've been hit with was by Arturo Gatti. And I think everybody's seen it when I got hit on HBO the first fight, excuse me, in the 10th round. And I kind of reeled back into the ropes. And I know your dad probably played that 100 times. But,
No, I did.
Yes, you did. But honestly, I think the hardest shot that I took is when I fought Julio Cesar Chavez. And even though Chavez was older, I think he was in his early 40s. And when I fought Gatti, we was in our 20s. But I guess that's just because Julio Cesar Chavez, he just knew how to punch. You know, he was a world champion. When I fought Chavez at the time, I think he had like 107 wins with like 98, with like 89 knockouts and only like 3 losses. So, you know, it was crazy. I mean, he hit me with a good left hook to the body, and it almost made me, you know what, but, you know, it happens like that sometimes.
Now that your career is over now, is there 1 or 2 people that you wish you could have fought?
Oh, of course. Ain't no doubt about it. All day long. I wish I could have fought Floyd Mayweather. You know,
would have beat him?
I think I would have beat him, yeah. I mean, it would have been a great fight, but I just think I would have beat him because I think I had the style to beat him. You know, I wasn't the type of guy to stand in front of you, nothing like that. I just thought those type of things would come up, and, you know, we would fight. I actually asked his uncle Roger for the fight, and Roger was like, "No, we're not taking that fight. We're not fighting you." So, you know, it never happened. But then I'm mad and upset because, like 2 or 3 years later, he messed around and fought Arturo Gatti, and he beat the mess out of Arturo Gatti, and the fans, the media, and him, you know, make it seem like he just terrorized Gatti on the strength of Gatti being who he was, and which really he wasn't. Because honestly, he fought Angel Man Freddy, then he fought me, then he fought a couple other guys, and then he fought Floyd Mayweather. So, you know, within that time, Gatti was a brawler. So, you know, he used to take punches, and he was like maybe 2-3 steps behind Floyd when Floyd fought him. So he killed Gatti. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you get the luxury to have that, and sometimes you don't. I'm just fortunate that I had the opportunity to fight Gatti in his early age, at his early prime, and I was able to beat him live on TV and for the world to see it. And to this day, people still recognize me and him as the best fighter in the century, although, you know, they talk about him and Mickey Ward.
What separates you from every other fighter you faced?
I guess because that's a great question. I just went in there about my business, you know, and I came through at a different stage than what it is now. You know, now it's about money. When I fought, it was about money, but then again, it wasn't about money, because my thing is this: if I had a beef with like a guy like Oscar De La Hoya, and they called me and told me, "Yo, you getting ready to fight Oscar De La Hoya," I'm not gonna say, "Well, how much we fighting for?" And if they say, "Well, y'all only fighting for 10 million," and it's 100 million on the table, I'm not worrying about the 100 million. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking about 10 million. I'm going out there and I'm trashing it. No, you got guys now. No, I'm not fighting unless I'm getting this money or I'm getting that money. You know, I love Floyd for what he's done and the fighter he is. His personality is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. I think he just really messed up the game a little bit.
What do you think the number one thing that a boxer needs? Like the number one speed?
No, I just think a fighter, I mean, like I said, I'm not the best fighter out there in the world, but I do think that I'm great and good at what I do. And for a fighter to be a fighter, a great fighter, he has to be humble. And that's one thing I liked about Joe Frazier. You know, Joe Frazier was very humble. He loved his people. You know what I'm saying? And even though we know Frazier and Ali for having words in the street. They about to fight at every press conference they had. At the end of the day, Joe Frazier was a great man and a great human being. And you got to be humble in this game. If you're not humble, they can destroy you. Like I tell all my fighters, what you don't know, won't hurt you. What you do know will kill you. But at the end of the day, you got to be humble. You got to understand. Sometimes you got to take your licks and keep walking, because there's many licks that I took in this sport, many days. But I'm sitting here talking to you, so I can tell you the licks that I've taken. I can tell you what's good and what's not good.
You think either Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier would have beat Floyd?
That's a great question. I don't think he would have beat Ali. He would have probably edged Joe Frazier if Joe Frazier didn't knock him out. But I think somewhere along the line, I think Frazier would have got him, because Frazier was just a rock, man. He was just so strong. He was just so determined, to do what it is that he done, and he was great at what he done.
I heard you never watched film on your opponent. Is that true, and why?
Well, no, I never did until I watched the Gaddy fight, and you see what the Gaddy fight did. Got my behind in trouble, so I shouldn't have never watched it. I think I had a great enough team to put a game plan together. And I now that I'm coaching professional fighters and some amateur fighters, I got a young guy there by the name of Lenny. I call him Foot. He described it better the other day when we was in the gym. I think a trainer's best attribute is that he know what his fighter can do. So that's like if I have a kid that's fighting you, I'm not worrying about my fighter, because I know what I installed in my fighter. My problem will be you. I'm worrying about you, what you can do, what you can't do. I'm looking at what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, and I'm giving it to my fighter. And I'm letting him process what he needs to do to beat you. I'm not worrying about my fighter, because I already know what my fighter can do.
When you sign for a fight, how long is training camp, or do it vary due to the opponent?
Well, nowadays, well, not even nowadays. Back in the day, when I say back in the day because everybody called me old, But when I was training, my thing wasn't, we didn't wait until we signed the contract to fight. If the promoter, I guess, called the manager, and the manager came to me and said, Mighty, you fighting something, I'm not waiting until the day he tell me that I'm fighting. All right, he already telling me I got to fight, but I've been training for 2 weeks already. I think that a fighter should have no more than about 4 weeks to get in great shape. If he can't get in great shape within 4 weeks, something wrong. But you have some fighters like Manny Pacquiao, you have Errol Spence. These guys, they're in camp right now, training now for their fights, and they not fighting until March, and I don't think Spence and Garcia fighting until like April. So that gives them enough time to do the things that they need to do to really get in shape. You may train for a week, take off, but not train hard, train lightly, then come back and train hard. But like your last 6 weeks, you go hard. You get the hard sparring. You running every day. You in the bed on time. You getting up. You eating. You running. You working out with your conditioning coach. You working out with your trainer. You doing all the right things. You ain't in camp BSing, having fun, going out to the club and all that. Not doing that.
Is that how your schedule was like?
Yeah, my schedule was crazy.
So how many hours did you train for?
Let me see. I train like in a day. You talking about a day training? My day training could have been from 4 to 6 hours, and it don't mean 4 to 6 hours straight. Like for instance, I'm gonna give you just my daily frame. When I got ready for Gaddy, I lived up in the Northeast. Camp was in the Northeast. My manager would come from Jersey, because I lived in Jersey. But my camp was here in Philly. He used to come from Jersey, come pick me up at 6 o'clock, take me back to Jersey at Cooper River. We would run from 6:30 to about 7:15, because I used to run 5 miles, but back then, I was young. My 5-mile run was about 30 minutes, 29 exact, if I was in great running shape and doing what I do. But I'll say 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Then we ride back to Philly, take a shower, get dressed, then I go out and eat. Once I go out and eat, I go eat, then I go walk. You know what I'm saying? After I walk and digest that, I go to sleep. By 12 o'clock, I'm in the gym, doing whatever, conditioning, jump rope, doing a little lifting or what. Well, not really lifting because I didn't lift like that, but I did a lot of cardio. Then that was from like 12 to 2. Then at 2 o'clock, after I got finished there, I went back, got me a nice little afternoon snack, which was my lunch, like 3 o'clock. Then I lay down for about an hour, hour and a half. Then I'm up again. And then I go to the gym from 6. From 6 to 8, I'm in the gym. Like 8:15, 8:30, my last meal is like fruit, maybe a shake, maybe some chicken or something. And then after that, the rest of the night is mine. But I'm in bed by 11 o'clock and I'm asleep doing it all over again.
That was every day?
That was every day. The only day I had off was Sunday.
So basically your diet was like, a light fruit diet? Like
Fruit,
meat?
no. Well, I had meat because it was crazy back in those days. Was my younger days. I was fighting at 135. My dad never allowed me to be over 5 pounds of my weight. So once I got to like 140, that was it. I had to really strictly stick to my diet. So that was cool. So yeah, basically it was chicken, fruit, vegetables, a lot of greens, like my greens, cabbage. A lot of green vegetables and stuff. A lot of water, no juice, no sodas, no milkshakes, none of that stuff that I eat and drink now. And that's basically it. I didn't go out partying a lot. I maybe went out every now and then too, something that somebody was having, family was having. But I was strictly all about, the business of boxing.
Were you cocky back then?
Yeah. Everybody get cocky, But the thing that it is, you get knocked off your horse every now and then. And I can tell that's something that came out your book. Cause your dad looking at me. I know he didn't tell you. I know he didn't tell you to tell me that or ask me that.
My dad told me the story of Drew. I couldn't pronounce his name.
Gerald. Really? We just went over this in the car.
I know. I still couldn't pronounce it.
Who is it?
Gerald McClellan.
McCullough.
Gerald McCullough. Oh, okay, yeah.
Did you ever fear anything that happened to him happening to you like that?
No, you know what? It's crazy. I'm a honest going guy. I'm not all into the church like that, but I do love God and I do pray a lot. But I never ever thought of my situation being like that. Why? Like I said, you can call me cocky now if you want or whatever it is. It's just what it is. But I thought that I had a fair of a very good defense. My defense wasn't as sweet as Purnell's, but my defense was just as good as his. I didn't get hit. Anybody that knows me, been around me all my life, knows that, as they call it, I had a great slip game. So, no, I never really thought that. And honestly, throughout my career, I don't really think I fought too many big punchers like that. A guy like Gerald McCullough, man, he was a beast besides Julian Jackson. I mean, that guy would hit you. And, I mean, when he hits you, he would knock you senseless. So, in that case, when you get a guy like that really can punch, 9 times out of 10 they ain't got great defense, and they're not taught too much on how to slip punches or catch punches. All they know is that if they land, it's night. So he can get hit with like 600 punches before the 9th round before he actually knocked the dude senseless. Yeah, and that's not cool.
Is that why you think defense is so important? Because we be in the gym, you hit you with the stick, I'm like, Coach Mighty.
Yeah.
So you think defense is like one of the most important parts?
Ain't no doubt, dog. Defense is definitely the most important thing in boxing. And I've told people, and I keep telling, not just you yourself, but I tell other fighters, I tell people out on the street that's coming in to learn how to box, that the worst thing in boxing is getting hit with a shot that you don't see. Take, for instance, I'm going to just refresh a lot of people's memories that had seen the Wilder Tyson Fury fight.
Yeah.
When Tyson Fury got knocked down and almost got knocked out, the shot he got hit with was a right hand, right? Hit him with the right hand. He never seen the left hook coming, and the left hook was there and it would kill him. See, it's always
Who
the
do you
shot.
think won that fight?
I thought Tyson Fury won. I really did.
Why do you think that?
I mean, because the first half of the fight, I gave to Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury did a lot of boxing. He used his jab a lot, and people only wanted Deontay Wilder to win because they knew at any given time, like almost happened in the 10th round, all it takes is one shot, dog. That's all it takes in boxing. I don't care if you're a heavyweight, if you're a strawweight. All it takes is one shot, and your lights will be put out.
What's the good and bad of being a boxer?
Of course, the greatest thing about being a boxer is you can make a whole lot of money. You can make a whole lot of money. The worst thing about boxing is the after effects after. You know, you can go blind. You can be crippled. You can be, as a lot of people on the street say, and fighters, you can become punchy and drunk. You can be knocked senseless. A whole lot of things can happen, but you know, it is what it is. And I commend all and every, even the women that decide that they want to participate in boxing, because boxing, at the end of the day, is a lonely sport. Because as long as you're winning, you're champion of the world. But you fail to realize that when you go in that gym every day to train, you basically by yourself. The only person you connect with all the time while you're in there is your trainer. You know what I'm saying? You don't have your mom and your dad if they're not really into it like my dad was. You may have a girlfriend, you may have a wife, you may have kids. I mean, you love them, they love you, they love what you do, and they commend you on what it is you do. But when you go in that ring, and you know for a fact, once you go in that ring and that bell ring, ain't nobody in there but you. I can scream and yell all day outside the ring, but you the one in there fighting.
How many boxers do you currently train right now?
What you mean? Well,
like who that's trying to like.
All right. Well, I have I'm working with Tyrone Crawley now, who's a lightweight. He'll be fighting for a title in January. I just leased on, or I won't say leased on. I just became part team owners with Eric Hunter. I'm training Eric Hunter now. I have a kid from Puerto Rico that's 3-0 with 3 knockouts. He just came over. I have him. He's a great junior lightweight kid. His name is Juan Herrera. He's great. And I got a bunch of class of amateur fighters that I'm training. Jesse Morales. There's a whole bunch of them. Woody. I'm even training. I was training Future at one time. But you know, Future with his dad, and he traveling all over the world doing a whole bunch of things. So I see him when he come back to the gym. But I'm just trying to perfect my craft and do the things I need to do. I was supposed to have my fighter here with me tonight. Actually, he's supposed to fight Friday, but he had an eye injury, so now he's not fighting. I forgot his name that quick.
Javier?
Javier, yeah, Javier Quendo. He was supposed to fight Friday, but he had an eye injury, so he's not fighting now.
While you were during your boxing career, like say you were walking the strip, anyone tried to like test you, like try to do something to you?
No, thank God, no.
Cause aren't your hands like
my hands are legal. Even to this day, even though I'm retired, I can't be going around hitting nobody, nothing like that.
What's like your favorite moment of being a boxer that you can remember?
I guess right now being just, which is in my time. I mean, one thing that I try to honestly perfect into the fighters is that you have to know when your time is due. You know, fighters feel as though their time is never due. I mean, just like any given day, when we have to die. So that's just like God. When He tells you that boxing is done, let it go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people always say to me, "Oh, Mighty, why you stop boxing?" I stopped boxing, man, because honestly, I wasn't old, but I felt old. I mean, I was boxing since the age of 5. I retired at 35. So that's 20 years of boxing. That's all I've known all my life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I worked, but basically my work was my hands. So I boxed all my career. And, you know, I made money. So when God was like, Ivan is a done deal, I had to let it go. And I feel as though other boxers should feel the same way. I mean, sometimes we do fight past our time because I've done it, but I actually knew when to get out. And I think that, you know, me and God had a pretty good, you know, communication together, that He blessed me to be in the ring with some great positive fighters and some great fighters, good fighters that I beat, some I lost to. But I was able to walk away, and I'm able to sit here and talk to you. You know, a lot of fighters are not fortunate to do those things, like Gerald McCullum, you know what I'm saying, Terry Norris, you know, guys that I know, you know. But I don't critique them. I don't do nothing to them. They were great champions, and I'm gonna love them to this day. And the things that they done for the sport, you gotta have kudos to those guys and give those guys all praise in the world.